Let's go.
You got
Yes. What's up, bro?
What's up? What's
My
up?
man Ray is here finally. The GOAT here in Orlando, just crushing it. Oh man, such a pleasure having you on, bro.
Appreciate
I'm
it.
so
Appreciate it.
excited. One thing that I always want to lead with or start leading with in this episode or these episodes is with gratitude, man. We are so blessed to be in a situation where we can do podcasts and we can invest in real estate and really set our future up. So
Absolutely.
I am grateful to be here, man, in both of your presence. And yeah, let's kick it off, bro. Let's dive into your story and learn a little bit about you. You can start off at the beginning or start off where you're at. Just tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I born in 1977, so we'll make it long. Just kidding. Just kidding. So, no, I was born in Puerto Rico. Moved to New York City when I was 6, and then from there, actually grew up in very humble beginnings. Started in Far Rockaway, Queens, in the projects of New York City. Rough childhood, but wouldn't exchange it for anything in the world because it made me strong. Then from there, we moved to Florida when I was 18, 19. Went to Colonial High School, and then from there went to Valencia for half a semester. I wouldn't even call it that because when I went to the first class, I was majoring in business administration, and it was funny because I talked to my business administration instructor, and I said to him, so how many businesses have you ran? He's like, none. I said, so, how many businesses have you worked in? Did you become a CEO of a company or anything? And none. And I said, okay, so what are you supposed to teach me? And he goes, I'm teaching you theory, this is how it's done. I was like, nah, but I want to learn from the people that are actually doing it.
So true.
So I decided to leave. I said school wasn't for me at the time. And then I ended up working different jobs. I worked for the Orlando Sentinel, believe it or not, for 10 years. I started in their customer service department. And then from there went to their logistics department. So I got to see both sides. I got to see when the people complained about the 50-cent newspaper, and then I got to see the guys they were complaining to. So at first I'm defending the customer because it's hey, listen, so easy to deliver a damn newspaper, right? And then I go to that side, and I'm like, oh my God, it's not easy. These guys work 7 days a week, and I'm managing these guys, and they're working at night. If it rains, it didn't matter. They have to have their windows open. So I was I learned a lot from that. I learned two things that helped me in my career today, which I'm a real estate broker. One, I learned the area because we delivered the newspaper all over Orlando and all the surrounding areas, all the way to Melbourne, down to almost Tampa, Lakeland area, and then all the way north to Daytona. So because we delivered the newspaper in those areas, I had to manage those areas from time to time, so I knew where they were. The second thing I learned is, being on the phones and not being scared to make calls. So that's how I built my career. So in about 2006, I decided to get out of the working for someone else and decided to try to go into it for myself. And it didn't happen right away because I actually joined real estate. Very grateful for this. I was at church, and my one of the pastors that was a youth pastor there was working for this top producing realtor. Amazing guy here in Orlando, and he says, listen, I just got my dream job, so I gave him my 2-week notice, and he needs someone to fulfill my spot, and I think you'd be great for it. And I said, at the time, I was actually delivering pizzas. So I'm like, sure, if it pays more than delivering pizzas, I'll do it. So, and it didn't pay more than delivering pizzas, but it was a start into seeing what real estate's all about. And I started to see crazy money, and I started to say, how are these people making this money? And right after that, I got my license, started doing really well, and it was a crazy time there, just kind of like what it is now. So one of the stories that I'll tell you, it's kind of funny, is when the builders were building like crazy, I would stand in line, great credit at the time, and I would just buy a couple slots because I had enough money to go ahead and buy 2 or 3, and then I literally would sell those slots to other people. Literally, I would just say, listen, I've got 1, 3, and 5. If you want, I can sell you this home. So I would upsell it to them for $10,000 and make $10,000 on the deal. So that's how I learned about the wholesale side. Without even knowing what I was doing, I was just like, look, I got it good credit. I stood on the line for 3 hours and I got it done. So from there,
That is a cool story.
yeah, it's like
Natural hustler right there.
yeah, it was funny because it was like, you know, I knew it wasn't gonna last forever because nothing lasts forever, but some people don't. So at that point, I was like, okay. I remember sitting in the office. I was sitting with my broker at the time. His name was Andre, and his dad, who's also part of the team at the time, and his brother, and deals just started falling back in 2007. Towards the end, I was like, oh man, something's going on here. This is not good. And we would go from closing 15 deals a month to literally 3. And we couldn't survive on that. So we were like, what's going to go on? So we would stay at the office till like 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock, like rattling our heads, like, what are we going to do? And at this point, I'm like full-fledged real estate agent. So there's no salary here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I need to figure out what we're going to do. Luckily, I didn't buy properties at the time, so I wasn't one of those people that suffered that high loss. But it was a moment where I saw, okay, we need to figure something out. And then Andre was like, where are these houses going? So we started to do the research, and we started to look, and that is always going to be the best thing you can look for. So when we did the research, we found out that the banks didn't even own any of these homes. It was all investors. And who was the number one investor at the time? Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. So we found out that they had 2 locations that we could pretty much try to get our foot in the door. One was in Dallas, Texas, and the other one was in Fort Lauderdale. So I went to Fort Lauderdale. Andre goes to Dallas, Texas, and we say, listen, whatever they ask you in the interview, just say yes. So I'm like, all right. Now, mind you, we have no money, right? So I go to Fort Lauderdale, and they're like, do you have $50,000 to do a charity bond? I'm like, I don't know what that is in my head. But yeah, we got it. Do you have this and that? I'm like, no, yeah, of course. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're ready.
We're liquid.
We got this. And then it was so funny because like I come back and I said, Andre, listen, we need $50,000. He says, I know, we need another 50 because they asked for 52. So what we did, it was really crazy. Fannie Mae, if they ever watch this show, they'd be like, oh my God. But we got it done. So we put 50 in my account so we can send them proof of funds, and then we put the same 50 in his account so we could show proof of funds, and we got the accounts. And he got Fannie Mae, I got Freddie Mac, and we just started killing it. We went from closing 3 transactions to closing 250 for that year, from one year to the next, and we got all those REOs. And I'll never forget, like one Thanksgiving, we literally worked 24 hours because they sent us 13 properties for 10 days straight. Every day, 13 new properties, everywhere. Windermere, Reunion, East Orlando, West Orlando. And once again, nothing lasts forever, right? So about 3 years in, I want to say it's probably like 2010, 2011, we noticed that the market started to shift. They kept telling us, just to keep us on board, a wave's coming. And there was never a wave. So we were like, okay, we need to shift. Like I was already ready to shift. So at that point, I became a listing agent with the company, and I started just listing properties. We got on the radio. We started to do radio. And from there, we would just get the calls, and I would go on the listing appointments. I went on about 150 listing appointments that year, and we closed about 63 of them. And it was hard because the things that he was wanting us to do was very demanding. So it was really, we gave ourselves obstacles that we shouldn't have gave ourselves. If not, we would have probably got the whole 150 deals. From there, I decided I wanted to do something else. I wanted to do something within the real estate space, but I wanted to grow myself because I noticed that, I had been with him at this point for 4 years, and if I stayed another 4 years, I knew I would continue to be the same guy, his listing specialist. So, and I wanted to grow. So I ran into this small company called La Rosa. And at that point, it was small, but it was big. And what I mean by that is, so I go to interview with Joe La Rosa, who's the owner of the company. And when I go to interview with him, I pull up to the building. It's this humongous 3-story building in Celebration. You could see it off of I-4, and it says La Rosa Properties on it. I'm like, oh man, these guys are big. I get to his office, and he interviews all agents at this time. And I get interviewed by him, and I literally got interviewed by him 3 times before I made the decision to switch, because Andre was a friend, So at that point, it was kind of like leaving a friend to go do this, which is hard. It's really hard. Tough. And but yeah, so I made the decision in 2012 end of 2011 to leave the company I was with to come to La Rosa. At that point, I was agent number 258, and wasn't as big as I thought. But it was funny because the whole time there was deflection, and you have to be careful. You got to like guard your dream, because one of the deflections was, well, 100%, which is what La Rosa is. 100% of nothing is one of the deflection comments that I got from my broker. The second deflection was, oh, look, they just closed down their Hunters Creek location. That means they're going out of business. And then, and you have to be open to listen to both sides of the story, because when that happened, I called Joe right away. I said, Joe, you guys closed down Hunters Creek. Hunters Creek was about this big. It was about 800 square feet. He's like, yeah, we did, absolutely. And I was like, why? He goes, because we just got a 2,400 square foot location. We're growing by leaps and bounds. We needed a bigger office. That office is only 800 square feet. So I was like, okay,
Makes
different
sense.
perspective, right?
Yeah.
So at that point, I ended up joining the company, and I joined with 2 team members, and we formed what we call the executive group, which is still alive to this day. My 2 team members, sadly, are no longer with me, but not for bad reasons. Actually, we're still really good friends. Alex was at the party that you
Yep.
came to, so she was there with her hubby, and they didn't bring the babies, but she wanted to start a family, and she just wasn't going to be working the amount of time that she was working. So that being said, she asked me if she can, dissolve from the partnership, and I said, sure, if that's what you want. And she did, and I'm super happy for her. We made a lot of money together, so she was able to get a couple of investment properties, and she really doesn't need to work, and she's only in her 20s. So that's an amazing story. So,
Love that.
and then Darrell, which was my other partner, I call him the muscle because he was about 6'4", big build, and he was the guy that we sent in. If you didn't want to sign the listing agreement, we were like, you sure you don't want to sign it? Because Darrell's here.
It's coming.
Yeah. He's like, no, we'll sign it. So then after that, they left me all by myself to grow this company. At that time, we were at about 60 to 70 agents, and we grew it. Right now, we are about 105, and we continue to grow and we continue to shrink, because one of the things that I focus on is I want high standards in my office. So I like top producers, and I like creating top producers. So if you come to my office, for the most part, we're going to train you the right way, and we're going to make you do the right things, and the wrong things we just won't tolerate. So you wouldn't work for me. So I probably fire more people than I hire every year. So
Wow.
Love that. Yeah, man, that was
a long intro.
that's a lot to unpack, man. Or unpack. That was a crazy story. Like,
Where do you want to start?
Kudos to some of those ninja moves, man. Like going down to Fort Lauderdale and Dallas.
listen,
That's crazy. That takes a
Right.
different type of mindset.
Talking about pivoting.
Yeah,
I mean,
like-
you upped and left. Like, I'm out.
Going straight to the root.
Well,
and
the thing
source.
is, it was, and I can't take all the credit. We literally sat in that room for hours, just bumping our heads against the wall. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, we're losing deals left and right, and this is my livelihood. I had just had my baby girl, so I was like, shoot, and
do
then
something.
we got to do something, because I'm not going back to deliver pizzas. So that's how that went down, and yeah, it was
awesome,
just that moment,
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to pivot just a little bit. So, you're an investor as well.
Correct.
Are you fixing and flipping? You said something about wholesaling. Are you holding properties as well? Talk a little bit about what your portfolio looks like and what your operations in terms of investment goes.
So yes, we fix and flip whatever opportunities we get. We still do as many as we can per year, but obviously with the game being what it is, you guys know that right now getting deals, these deals are harder than ever, and I was actually at an investor seminar the other day where people are still getting deals. People are getting very creative, but they're still getting great deals. Just recently, so we also, behind the scenes, have been building for 5 years. So we went into that sector because we felt like there was a need for bringing starter homes back to market, and no one's doing that. So, if you guys know the real estate game, so on average, if you were to buy a home in Orlando right now, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square feet. What do you think the price would be around? Starter price. Brand new.
320.
Yeah, 350.
It's 380, which is crazy.
What was it in 2019?
In
I thought
2019,
under 300.
it was like under 3. It was like
Right.
289.
Do you think that growth is appropriate and sustainable? What is your thoughts around how the market's been
That's a
going?
great question. Is it sustainable nationwide? Absolutely not. I don't think so. I think in Florida, yes, still because of some of the things and some of the policies that we have here that people are gravitating to. A lot of people that are moving here are gravitating to Florida, not just because of our current policies, but our policies in the sense of, we're definitely entrepreneur friendly. We
right.
are definitely tax friendly. And any business that comes here automatically gets a tax benefit because of we don't have a federal income tax here. So that's an amazing thing. And then obviously we have a governor that's been doing, not to talk politics, but he's been doing a great job with recruiting businesses to come here. The transfer wealth from other cities to Florida has been tremendous. And that is why I think it'll continue here, but I don't think it'll continue nationwide. And if you look at every single state, if you look at their real estate sector is super strong. No matter what city you bring up, their real estate sector is strong, but it's only strong for different reasons. Like, for example, if I use New York as an example, they're strong because their market's crashing, which they won't talk about on the news. But if you go look, like right now, if you wanted to buy a penthouse in New York that was a $20 million penthouse, you're getting it for $6 million right now. So that's why New York real estate is booming, because you're buying at a discount compared to what it normally costs.
Wow.
Where vice versa, in Florida, you're actually paying more for the property.
Premium.
Yeah, you're paying premium prices.
So walk us through today's market versus 06, 07, because that's when things started to kind of turn. So where do you see the comparisons? Where do you see things different? Because you've been in the game for so long.
Yeah, the comparison that I would say is we're growing too fast. That's a comparison in regards to the increased values month over month. Where I say the game is different is 2006 was more of an anomaly because of so I don't know if you guys ever see the movie Too Big to Fail?
Yes.
Okay.
Great movie.
So in Too Big to Fail, one of the things that they realized, and one of the things that they explained, which I was prevalent to that because I was in the game, so I knew what was going on, is they were talking about how they ran out of great credit people. Meaning, if we don't have buyers that have good credit, then we have to sell to. So they started to lower the standard of the buyer that we would have. Well, that created a problem because people that have low credit tendencies they're not going to pay, either late payments, no payments, and that's going to cause the problem. So when all these mortgages started to default, people losing jobs, buying, and then that's another product too. We had a product which we called the Ninja loans. That's what we called it back then, which was a no docs, which, it's kind of revamping itself. It's coming up again.
Yeah, I've been seeing them
but
more popular.
but not as bad as it was before, because you do have to have some sort of proof now. But back then it was like, hey, I make $10,000 a month and I could afford this house, but I want a interest only loan, and they would get an interest only loan, and they get what's called sticker shock. So they'll do interest only for 2 years. Their goal was to sell that home prior to it actually maturing and going to 6-7%, which was the rate at the time. Well, when it went up like that, you went from paying $1,000 to $6,000. You can afford that.
Wow.
We got pizza delivery drivers that were buying $400,000 homes at the time. And they couldn't afford that. And I knew because I was a pizza delivery driver.
Right.
And so I will tell you this though, I will never put someone in that situation. But there was a lot of agents that for the commission they did. And they put a lot of people in a bad situation. So to compare the two, the only comparison is obviously just the price increase. But I think we can sustain it for about 3 to 4 more years. There was an article that recently was published where they talked about the inventory of homes versus the need, right? There is more millennials buying homes now than ever. So, and it's a bigger population than our baby boomer generation, which means that we need to build more homes. So on average, to be sustainable, we had to build about 2 million homes a year. in the nation. We're only building at about 900 to a million. So when you look at it from the standpoint of we're missing out on about 1 million homes nationwide, we're losing. Where that inventory is now, or lack of inventory is now gaining traction onto the inventory that we still need to provide. So that's literally why we have the boom that we have, because we don't have enough homes and we can't build them fast enough.
No supply.
No supply. And demand, and you know the rule of supply and demand.
Right.
No supply,
Simple.
demand's up. Yeah, prices are gonna shoot up. So
Yeah, that's kind of perfect for you guys to be in new builds and construction now.
yeah.
Development. Yeah, that's a good pivot for you guys again on top of it. So you've been doing it for 5 years?
Yeah, so about 5 years ago, we were still flipping, and we still do it actively, whatever we can find now. More before it was our main focus, and we started to see even 5 years ago it was getting harder because a lot of people were coming into the game, and it would just, the disruption was just that bad. So we started buying lots 5 years ago with investors, and we started building for them. And we were making 20, 30, 40, 50% on their money. And we built, and we lost some money too. We lost some money hiring the wrong people. We had a GC that stole from us about $400,000. So that was,
Oh my God.
that was a shirt off my back right there. So,
Yeah, that's crazy.
so we had that situation occur. But we still were able to make money off that project. I mean, we were supposed to make $1 million. We did not, which was a problem. Because obviously we had investors to answer to. So, but one of the things I found out about that is, if you're honest and you do things right, the investors will stay with you. So in that situation, I called my investor. I told him what was going on. We had to figure out what we were going to do to pivot, and we did. But I'll never forget that conversation. I said to him, so this is the last project we're doing together. I totally understand if that's the way you feel. And he said, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, I mean, this is the last thing we're doing. He's like, no, go buy more land. Let's build more houses. You need to make me back those 400,000. I said, all right, that makes sense. So, and he's been with us to this day. Matter of fact, one of the closings that we have tomorrow is one of his. Wow. So he's been investing with us. But last year we decided to make a pivot. We were seeing the amount of money we were making for the investors. And we had a clause that we put into their contracts when we started to work with them, because they were giving us a lot of money, $5-10 million worth of income, liquid income for us to go ahead and do what we were doing for them. And at that point, I just said, I talked to my brother. We sat down with the team and we said, dude, we should be making this money. So we went back to the investors and we restructured the contract. And we said, this is how we're going to do it in 2022. If you're okay with it, great. If you're not, we can move on. One of them did leave, for like a month. He got robbed right away, called us back, said, all right, I'll fulfill, I'm good with your contract. I'll go ahead and sign. The other ones just stayed, and we've been able to build. So right now we have about 17 projects.
That's so awesome, bro.
Yeah, the goal is to do 33, but I mean, with everything, the way things are going and how fast we're moving, I think we'll probably do 50 this year. So that's 50 families will help this year.
That's beautiful, man. That's awesome, bro. Props.
Thanks.
Let's see. What else you want to touch base on?
So what was that pivot that you had with your investors? So you said you changed your strategy from 21 to 22. What was the biggest highlight in that change?
We started to notice, like, when you work with investors and they're all about, what have you done for me lately? And they're really, you know how we're grateful for what we do, and we're grateful for, they have no gratefulness. Like, they are not grateful. They just expect you to do that. And it kind of brought me back to when I worked for the banks, when I was doing the REOs, and they were the same thing. We were robotic to them. And that's what turned me off from the REO game. It still turns me off to this day. I have agents on my team that are like, look, if we crash, do you want to get REOs again? Because I still have all my connections through REO. And I'm like, no, I'm really not. I rather go, and if anybody's looking to get into real estate, this is probably the best part to do, and a sector that nobody's touching. Go find everybody that's in pre-foreclosure and get them before the bank does. Help them before the bank does, before the bank takes everything away. 90% of them are going to have equity. The other 10 is not. And those are the ones that we would short sell. But other than that, there's ways that we can help these people still make a great profit and still help them. So That's one of the sectors that I tell everybody in my office you need to be pushing on. Find out who's having problems and call them, see how you can help them. Because I didn't want that robotic feel. And I started to feel it with the investors. That's why I pivoted. I told them no. I'm like, you're making all the money, but yet you're giving us all the grief, And they would make decisions too that, would cause problems. And at that point, we changed it completely. So no longer are they allowed to make decisions. It's you give us the money, silent investor. We have a contract. We'll make sure you get your money at the end of the year, and we're good to go.
That's the best way to do it. Yeah. I mean, that's how we structure our partnerships as well. It's like you have multiple decision makers. That's
nothing
you
gets
have
done.
A chance to butt heads and
too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And once we noticed that, we decided. My brother and the team got together. So we have about 102 team members at my office, and we have about 8 leaders that run the office. So I have myself and then 7 other individuals that help me run the office on a day-to-day. And those people lead their own mini teams to make sure that, everything's working. But when we come together, there's only one decision maker, and, the whole team is either you're good with it, or if you're going to give me a rebuttal, it better be good. But we don't allow problems in the office. So if you have a problem, bring me the solution, or don't bring me the problem. That's one of the goals that I have with the team. So if somebody has an issue, bring me the issue, but bring me what you're going to do to resolve that issue. If not, don't even bring it to me. There's no sense for us to have that conversation.
Love that. So do you sit above your team members, or how does your organization look from that standpoint? You said you have 7 leaders, and then you have all the agents underneath the leaders.
Yeah. So yes. So I'm the broker owner, and I obviously oversee everything because it's my butt on the line. So I make sure that I know every deal that's going on in my office. We do about 70 transactions a month. And I look at every single transaction that I can. And if I haven't looked at it, I probably have eyes on it some way, some shape or form. If it has an issue, I'm already contacted. I already know. And I'll try to resolve the issue the best that I can. Because once again, if an agent makes a mistake, they can't get sued. They have to sue the broker first. And then that's how they get to the agent. So yeah, I sit above but I can't say that I'm nothing without my team. So unfortunately, it's one can't exist without the other.
So walk me through what you look for in an agent, right? You said you talked about you want top producers, you have all these agents. How are you going through your hiring process? How did you build this brokerage?
So funny. So when we started, like I said, we didn't want zombies in the office, and we wanted to make sure that we created agents that were knowledgeable and wanted to actually become producers. So one of the first things I ask is, are you planning on being part-time or full-time, right? And if they say part-time, I say, okay, what do we need to do to get you to full-time? And then I give them a game plan, and I give them a time frame for them to hit their goal. And if they hit their goal, they can stay. And if they don't, then they, I don't tell them they have to leave La Rosa, because La Rosa is a great company, but they couldn't work for my office because my standards are really high. So if, for example, in December, the whole month of December, I have exit interviews with all my agents. And I sit down with them and we have a serious conversation. Like, what do you want to do? Because the whole month of December, while I'm still having my exit interviews, at the same time on the weekends, we're having our vision board meetings, which means, and we do vision board a little bit different. We focus on what you need to do before the goal, and then we create the goal based on that. So, and what I mean by that is, so like, for example, if I asked you, if I said, JB, how much do you want to make this year? And you said to me a number, right? I would prove to you that your number's wrong. I would prove to you that your number's wrong, because your number's based on a calculation you did in your head. The way we do our numbers is we go the opposite. We put it on paper first. What are your expenses? What is it that you want to accomplish this year? What is it that you want to accomplish in the next 3 years? How much money do you need this year to make those things happen? If you say, for example, I want to buy a car. Okay, great. Are you planning on buying it cash, or are you going to be putting money down? And what do you want your payment to be? I want my payment to be this. Okay, well, based on that, what kind of car do you want? I want this car. Okay, based on that number, this is what the car costs. If you put this down, this is what your monthly payment will be. So this is how much you need to have before you can buy that car. And now we created the goal. And every time, I can promise you, every single agent will give me a number it won't match the number that they actually have to do because they don't realize. And then now when they see what they have to do, now it's no longer about a fake vision. It's actually a real vision because they know exactly what they want. So when they create their vision boards and they're looking at it every day, they're looking at something real. They're like, yep, that's the car I want. Yeah. And that's the beauty of having the internet as opposed to having, back in the day when we used to cut them out of magazines, we just pick whatever cars in the magazine. So
Right. It's real time now.
yeah. So when we do our interviews, that's one of the things I look at. I'm like, what do you want to do? Because anybody can be taught to do the business, but it's going to be, I tell everybody, and this is my saying, my quote, I say, real estate is easy. It just takes hard work. There is no secret to this. There is no reinventing the wheel. Everything that we need to do is in a book somewhere that we can read it. It's about going out there and doing what you've read in that book. And people don't like to do that. And those people just can't work out of La Rosa Realty Orlando. That's just the way it is.
I want to shift again a little bit. So in your business right now, we talked about new development, talking about fix and flips, wholesale. What are you most excited about? Like this year, maybe in the next 5 years, what are you most excited about in your business?
So one of the biggest things that I enjoy about real estate is, and I always go back to what got me into real estate. What really got me into real estate is when my mom bought her house when I was 18 years old. That was the first house she's ever owned.
Nice.
And the smile on her face at closing was what, like, it's engraved in my brain. And when I had my first closing, I saw that with the client. So one of the things that we decided to do, so when we talked about, and I'll go ahead and go back to new builds, so to give you an example of what's different. So obviously, right now, if you go to a builder in the Orlando area, you're going to be looking at $380 to start on a townhome, all the way to, $400,000 on a regular small house, and then up from there, right? So we decided, I don't know if you guys ever read the book Blue Ocean Strategy. No. Ooh, great book. So it talks about going into a space where no one else is looking at. So what we decided to do is and this is going into my plan for the next 5 years, we decided to go into the space of we're going to build an introductory home to everyone. So the home that regular person that works at Domino's can buy, our blue collar families, so our home starter price starts at $280 in the Orlando area. And you're getting a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, completely loaded with everything. We put full granite countertops in every room, no Formica, like most of these builders on a $400,000 home. I just sold, I'll give you an example. So we had a closing on Friday for a home that I sold for $487,000. It was a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, right? 4-bedroom, 3-bath. And every other bathroom except the master had Formica.
Wow.
So just to show 2,800 square feet. So it's a pretty big house, 3-car garage. But Formica, we're putting granite in all the rooms, 9-foot ceilings. We're giving the luxury feel for that client that can't afford it. But when you walk into your house, you're proud that you bought this home. So that's what we're planning on doing. We're planning on not just building the 33 or the 50 that we want to do this year, but to actually build subdivisions and to continue with my mom's legacy, because my mom passed away about 2 years ago of cancer.
Sorry to hear that, man.
Thanks, man. And me and my brother, she was my rock. So me and my brother decided to continue her legacy by creating a foundation. And every year we want to give away a house. So if we get to our 33, house 33 is actually going to be given to a single mom. So, and the way we're going to do it is we're going to do it responsibly, because you don't give something for free. So the way we're going to do it is it will be in a trust for the amount of time till her oldest son turns 18 in the house. And then we would turn over the deed over to that person. So the reason we want to do that is my mom was a single mom for a while, and she was a warrior. She took care of us, worked 2 jobs, and it was hard. It was hard for a single mom to do that. And then my stepdad came in when I was about 8 years old, and then they raised us together. And he comes from an Army background, and I call him Pops because he's my dad, because he raised me. And
I call my dad the same.
Yeah,
he's in the military too.
Yeah, he's a monster. These guys don't cry. They're like made of stone. So when I was one of my favorite football players did it, Warwick Dunn. He started to give out houses to single moms. And I was like, you know what, let's keep that foundation going, but let's do it through my mom's name. So mom's name is Iris Vargas. So it'll be the Iris Vargas Foundation. And we're going to give a home every year. And the more we build, the more homes we're going to give away. So I think God is going to bless us in that way so we can bless others in that way. And it'll be completely free. Like, it'll be responsible because obviously we don't want them to get the home today and sell it tomorrow. But at least that mom can go live there, have one job, if any, needed, just to cover the taxes and insurance. And obviously the regular house bills, but the houses will be completely given to them for free. So
yeah, I would say that's pretty damn exciting, man.
Yeah.
I didn't expect your answer to be like that, but that's cool.
yeah,
man.
that's really the end goal. You always want to give back. Keep in mind, like I said, I came from humble beginnings, so to be able to get to where I'm at now, I mean, it's a humbling experience, and it's just a major blessing, and I'm super grateful. And you have to give back. One of the things that one of my mentors, which is also my broker, Joe La Rosa, he says, the secret to living is giving. So it's something that we have company wide. So
I believe
Love that.
too. Yeah, I believe it. So, you have any kids?
yes, 3.
3. Okay.
3. I have an 18-year-old, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, he's getting ready to go to college. He's going to be going to Vero Beach University. He's got family out there, and he's going to be joining us in the real estate game. Actually, his grandmother and his uncle actually have a brokerage, small brokerage, mom and pop boutique down there, and he's going to get his real estate license and work with them down there while he's going to college.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's
That's
going to be
awesome.
a computer engineer. So that's what
Awesome,
he's going to
man.
major in.
Very cool. What about your wife? So I had the pleasure of meeting your wife at the Christmas party.
Yes.
Is she involved in real estate as well?
She actually has her real estate license.
Okay.
She does not like real estate.
No? Okay. I always ask because, that's one thing. My wife and I are both full-time real estate.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends are like, how did you get your wife involved? And like, how is that
Yeah,
relationship? right?
let's go ahead and interview you on that. How did you get her involved?
Yeah, man, it was definitely a process. She wasn't interested to begin with, but I think I just constantly had bigger pockets on and was constantly reading books, and she eventually got the bug, and she could see where the future could be for us, right?
The potential, yeah.
Yeah.
So she ended up getting her license, and I think just going through the whole process of getting her license, she got involved with the jargon and the terminology enough. It started to excite her, and by nature, I think she loves to design and host people. So
Yeah.
short-term rentals is our specialty. So she
Yes.
gets to design the space and be a designer, right? And then
Yep.
she also gets to host individuals that are visiting the Orlando area.
That's
so,
awesome.
She loves it now for sure. But
Yeah.
but I didn't do anything. It was just kind of her listening in the background, and then
Eventually just got
yeah. And we really do enjoy building something for us.
Yeah.
So
Makes
it
sense.
doesn't feel like work when we wake up. Even
No, absolutely.
Just like you're like, I've been up since 4:30. I have to go to bed. It's like 10 p.m. and you're just exhausted at the end of the day. But when you're doing it for yourself, it feels a lot.
It's just
lighter.
more fun that way.
It really is, yeah.
It's more
So-
fun that way. Like with my wife, so she got her license, and her first time to experience was I actually took her to a builder, and I'm negotiating this deal. We got there at 4. I didn't leave till like 9:30. Like I literally was like, nope, you messed up. Contract's not right. Put this back on the contract. Put this back on. So eventually I got everything put on the contract. And she's like, oh my God. At that point, my wife looked at me different. I mean, we've been married at this point for, I want to say she got her license back. It was about 5 years ago. So we would have been married 10 years.
Wow.
And she's never been around me doing a deal. And to see me negotiate like that, she's like, got attracted to this new guy that she just met. Like, it's like, whoa, my husband does that? Wow. And then what happened was, then she got her deal. And her first deal was pretty easy. It was a cash deal. You know how those are. So she's like, oh my God, this is awesome. And then she got one deal that it was a lending deal, and it fell through literally 2 days before closing.
Oh.
And it devastated her. Yeah. So she's like, it's so unexpected. Like some people, she's one of those that counts the money before it's there. So she's like, I can buy this and I can do this. And I'm like, babe, that's not the way it works.
Till the check is in hand.
Yeah, exactly. And then she got really, really turned off by that, and then decided, said, I'm going to go back to school. So she still works in the real estate realm, but doing what she loves. Like your wife loves design. Well, she's a graphic designer and she loves photography. So she put the two together and she became our professional photographer for the company. So she is our professional photographer.
That's cool.
She does staging. She does virtual staging. She does photography. She does aerial drones. She does 3D. She does it all. So, and she loves it. And that's the part that she loves. And she's also our compliance director for the company. So she knows contracts real well. So she makes sure that our contracts are intact. Who better than your wife to make sure that you're okay? You know?
Right.
Absolutely.
For sure.
She's got your back, you know?
Definitely, yeah. My
Watching
wife
your
is
back.
certainly the backbone of the business. So
Yeah.
I would be
That's
lost.
awesome.
I would be lost without her.
Yeah, they're very organized. You know,
100%.
When you have your wife on your team, you know, she's like, "Did you do this? Did you take care of this? Are you handling this? This and like." All right,
you in
babe.
check.
All right, babe.
Right.
Yeah, she keeps me in check 100%.
Love that.
You know, and she calls me like 3-4 times a day. Hey, did you go to this meeting? Hey, she even, you know, when I told her, I was like, look, I'm going to be doing the podcast, right? And she goes, all right, make sure. And then so like 3:30, she's like, hey, don't get there late. I'm like, all right.
All right, I'll be there.
Yeah,
That's so awesome.
Love
yeah.
that.
She has everybody at at my office has access to my schedule. So if they never need to plug themselves into the schedule, they can. So, and it all starts with my office manager, obviously, you know, so having a good office manager helps. So.
One thing I wanted to touch base on earlier, you mentioned like you rattled off like maybe 2 or 3 books. It seems like you're a big book reader, maybe.
Yeah, I love to read. And when I say that, keep in mind I'm dyslexic, so it's really hard for me to read a book. So for some people that may not understand, what happens is when I'm reading, I flip the words, I flip the letters within the word, so it takes me longer to read a book. So what I did was I started to Audible and buy the book at the same time, and then I would read with Audible, and it actually helped me with that. So yes, I love to read, and I love to read books about business, about like, so one of my biggest people that I follow that I think is going to be doing tremendous things in this world is a gentleman by the name of Patrick Bet-David. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him.
Love him, yeah. Valuetainment.
Valuetainment, yeah.
That. Love that.
So I actually went to
One
the
of my favorite
vault.
podcaster, yeah.
Yeah, I went to the vault. You know, he does
Yep,
the vault
yep,
every year.
Entertainment. Okay, I know who this is.
Yeah.
He's gonna be in. He's coming to Florida.
Yeah,
soon.
he lives in Florida.
He was in
Oh,
Florida
okay.
already, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he lives in Fort Lauderdale.
He's big in the content game now.
Okay, he's speaking some event coming up.
Yeah, I have it.
I just remember.
You ready to
seeing-
go?
I'm going. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going. Yep.
Okay.
The
So did you get your tickets? PHP?
Yeah, there you go.
Who are you going with?
My wife.
Who told you?
I don't know.
Jonathan Mason?
A random person on Facebook.
For real?
Yeah, I just
Okay.
I checked PM.
Check PM. I
And
was
then,
there.
yeah, he helped me out and hooked me up with some tickets, and yeah, but
Well, I'm gonna be there, so we're gonna be together.
boom, there you go.
Awesome.
go.
Awesome.
Small world.
It's
Did
crazy.
you read your next 5 moves? What'd you think?
Of course, love the book. Yeah, love the book.
Loved it too.
Did you read it?
Yeah.
Tell me. I mean, it was just amazing. I mean,
He's actionable. Like, that's what I like about him.
Yes.
He's like, hey, do this, do this, do this. I don't like theory-based content and
No,
people that
he
are
is-
like, you know,
and
over high-level content, but he's very direct. And I
yeah,
love that.
and that's the thing about him. Like, you know, no matter what he says or who he interviews, he knows how to interview correctly. So at the end of the day, like, you're getting the content that you wanted to get from that interview. He's
Right.
great at that. And not only that, like you said, he's actionable. Everything he does, and he talks about that. He says, listen, what are you known for? You know, what are you known for? You know, and make sure that if it's a bad stigma, change it. And that's what what he's known for is if he tells you he's going to do something, he's going to do it. Like, have you seen the podcast recently?
Like today or?
No, just like recent podcasts, like with the new set.
Yeah.
All right. Funny story. When I went to the vault, I was told by one of his team members that they were going to buy a building that may have a vault in it, and they're going to be doing the podcast inside that vault.
Wow.
And as you well know, here we are. They have a freaking vault. They bought an old Chase building, and they're doing their podcast in that Chase building inside the vault. The actual studio
Yeah,
is
they,
set up
they
in the vault.
one-upped us for sure. For sure.
Hey, listen, it all starts
You
with a
gotta
dream.
start somewhere, yeah.
Have you seen his early work?
So I'm not actually too familiar with how he started. I know
Yeah.
it was in the insurance game, but I don't know like how he scaled everything and how he grew to the moon.
So the biggest, so I've been following him for a really long time. When I first started following him, he was probably worth like $5 million, which is still pretty awesome, right? He's worth about 150 mil now. So, and he did that in a short time. So, So the way he started is he was doing content videos for his company. And it wasn't on YouTube. It was something private for his company. And one of his team members was like, hey, we need to like release this content. This is really good content. We need to release it out to the world. The world needs to hear what you're saying. And the funny thing is, like I said, it's just starting because the videos look horrible. The first few videos, like he's, the old library, like he's this young guy with a library, like it looks like he's in an old man's house, and that's how it starts. But look at where he is now. I mean, and we started the same way. Like we're not perfect. We have a podcast as well, and we talk about real estate. And we started off where it was just me and Neville, one of my team members, just having a conversation, and it turned into us creating a small set that we have at the office, and from there it just we do a live every Wednesday.
So it's you and Neville.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's called the Ray and Nev Show.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice. That's awesome. We'll have to check that out for sure.
Next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Next Wednesday. Yeah, I would love to have you guys both on.
Yeah.
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 We could do like a drink. Have you guys seen the drink champs where they have the rapper on? Oh, it's hilarious. It's with Nori. He's one of the rappers. Okay. We could have like a drink champ episode without the drinks. There
we go.
We'll have water. So
hey, I'll take the drinks too. I mean.
We have a lot of that at the office. We're real estate agents.
So my last question: what is your advice to someone wanting to start off a successful career in real estate?
Biggest advice is make sure you're ready to take action. Meaning, one of the things that we had someone we interviewed recently that said something that has really stuck with me, and it's a book called Eat the Frog, where it talks about do the worst thing that you have to do first, so you get it out of the way. And it stuck with me about make sure you do that on a daily basis. So one of the biggest concerns that people have, or one of the biggest fears that people have, is prospecting. You're going to have to do prospecting. Unfortunately, that's just part of the game. And if you're not ready for that, it is a very lucrative career that you can have in this business, depending on which angle and what space within real estate you go to. But you have to make sure that you understand that you're out there prospecting. Every day you're looking for new contacts. Every day you're looking for friends to make. And if you treat it like a relationship business, you will be successful. If you don't, if you think it's a deal, and I hate to use this term because it's a bad term, but if you think it's a wham bam thank you man first, one night stand type situation, you are never going to be successful, because it's the clientele and the customers that bring you the referrals that continue your business growing. Your pipeline needs to be filled at all times. If you have a ton of deals going on, if one falls, it doesn't bother you, nor does it hurt you, and it lets you focus on making sure that one that fell, you can recover it some way, somehow. Like helping that customer a different way, or getting them into a different program or different type of loan to make sure that the deal gets done. But you're not focused on like, oh my God, this guy didn't close and I can't pay my bills,
Right,
so,
for sure.
And start small. Definitely start small. And have a mindset. Like we have an agent right now that is going through it. He had amazing success at the beginning, had a ton of closings, and decided to splurge like he was in Vegas, and hurt himself. He hurt himself, and his mindset's not there. So he's getting weak. Like he's not prospecting like he should. He's not doing the things because he's too worried about where is he going to get the next paycheck to pay his bills. So. Mm-hmm. And I tell him all the time, and I'll sit down and have one-on-ones with him and say, hey, listen, you just got to step up your game and come to work like you've got $1 million in your bank account. Because if you have the mindset that you have $1 million in your bank account, you're going to work, your work's just going to flow. Even if you don't have it, just tell yourself you do. But if you come in here talking about you're broke, guess what? You're going to be broke.
Too much negative energy.
Absolutely, yeah. 100%. So that's one of the biggest advice that I can give to anyone that's trying to get in the game. And just remember, you're only one deal away from changing the game. One deal away from changing the game.
One deal away.
100%.
It's just like I tell people, I had an agent that was getting ready to quit. She was getting ready to quit, and she had a closing coming up. And I said, just stick it out. Focus for the next few days. Focus on getting a second closing. Don't worry about the closing that's coming up because that's going to cover your bills. But focus on getting another closing. She picked up 6 clients in that 3-day period. and changed her game forever. She was a rookie. She was the rookie of the year
Oh, nice.
at the party. She was our rookie of the
Nice.
year. You know, and this year she's blowing up. She's got 35 transactions this year, ready going.
That's
So, you know, it's just
And we're in
sticking
January
it out.
or February now.
Yeah, February as
Yeah.
of today. So
That's crazy.
it's crazy.
Yeah. So my last question is, like where can people find you? And what are you looking for? Like if I'm in the audience, what can I bring you in terms of value? What are you looking for?
Just people that want to be dedicated to growing themselves. I want people that are not looking at me as a broker, but looking at me as a mentor to guide them to what they want. So like when you come to me, don't talk about my dreams. Let's talk about yours. That's how I am. You come in, and one of the first things I always ask is how can I help? Like, what is it that you want to do? And let's see if I can get you there. But you got to be willing to work.
I believe you too, man. Like that, you know, I think a lot of people say that, but like, I don't know about you, Aiden, but
To mean it is a different thing, yeah.
I really feel it when you say that. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Like just full like transparency. I really do. I love that about you, man. 100%.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we work together. We've done a deal, and you know, hopefully you should send me some more stuff. So you know, because I need it. Yeah, we definitely, our team is family focused first. Like literally, if we have a team member going through it, we figure out a way to help that team member. You know, like this particular gentleman, you know, the whole team's like rally him on. You know, some people have helped him financially. You know, we're here for each other, and I think that's one of the blessings that we have, that everybody feels like they're family, so they can tell each other what's going on. It's very rare you work in a job environment where you could tell somebody, look, man, I don't even know where I'm gonna get my mortgage this month, and somebody says, check your bank account, you got the money, and then all of a sudden the money just appears there, and they're happy and they can do what they need to do and at least work. Because that's the thing. I've been there. I had when I left the company that I was working for, I had $24,000 worth of commissions, and I wasn't able to talk about it then, but I could talk about it now because there was a lawsuit in place. I never got paid that money. And I literally had to decide whether I wanted to quit real estate or move on to, quit real estate or make it work. And I had to get a job at night delivering newspapers, out of all things, so that way during the day I would work. So one of the things I don't have is I'm very sympathetic, and I have empathy, but I don't like excuses, because when I was working at that time, I was working, so my schedule Monday through Saturday was, I would wake up at 2 a.m, go deliver newspapers, get home at 6, take a shower, between 7, have my breakfast, run to the office, be at the office from 8 a.m. all the way to 8 o'clock at night, go home, eat dinner, right? Go to bed, wake up at 2 again, and do that Monday through Saturday. Sunday was the only day that I didn't come into the office. But Monday through Saturday, I was trying to get a deal. And the funny thing is, I was driving a 2002 Honda Civic, and I had bought it brand new, so I had it for 12 years, and I ended up trading it in. And when I went to trade it in for the car that I ended up buying, which was a Sonata at the time, I went to, take everything out of the car, and I go in the glove, and I still had checks from my Orlando Sentinel that I hadn't cashed in there because I was already living off my real estate income. Nice. Didn't even realize it. So
there you go.
I would get the check on Friday, just throw it in there, and I had no reason to go to the bank because, when you work in real estate, they just wire you the funds right to your account. So, so they just sat there. I cashed them after, once I left there, but I had like 3 or 4 checks there that I just
totally forgot about.
Yeah, totally forgot about. They were $300 checks. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, where can people find you?
Well, we have our website, which is theexecutivegroupfl.com. You can find me there. If you want to call our office or our team, the phone number is 407-900-5003. And if you want to call me direct, if you want to talk about, how I can help, 407-288-7384 is my personal number.
My man.
You can call me anytime. And
Love that.
JB has my number. He knows that's my number. You can call me anytime. I try to pick up for the most part, but if you text me, I'll try to respond as quick as I can. So,
awesome, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, bro.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Man. Awesome
What an
episode.
What an episode.
Thank you so much, guys.
Brother. Absolutely.